Emerging in 2000 with the breakthrough single Yellow, Coldplay quickly became one of the biggest acts of the early 21st century by honing the mix of British pop and anthemic rock that helped propel the band to the top of album charts worldwide. Chris Martin, Jonny Buckland, Will Champion and Guy Berryman were all born into musical households. Martin, the eldest of 5 children, started playing the piano as a child and was later entertained by Tom Waits' work. Then Buckland on the other hand grew up with the heavy guitar sounds of Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix. Then the Scottish native Berryman preferred funk to indie rock, so he playing bass, while the multi-instrumentalist Will Champion had no plans to become a drummer until he joined Coldplay. They got together in 1997 while attending the University College of London, and Safety IPI were released shortly after their first performance at the Manchester Festival. It was enough to win the band over to a British deal with Parlaphone Records in April 1999, and the Blue Room IPI arrived that fall. Coldplay was hailed as the next Travis thanks to their simple acoustics and captivating personas. Parlaphone drove Coldplay to Par Studios in Liverpool, where they recorded most of their debut album. Then Parachute was released in July 2000 and was a quick hit with the power of 4 British singles, some of which also enjoyed popularity in America. With the hit Yellow topping the charts on both sides of the Atlantic, Parachute was released in the United States in November, where sales soon rivaled and eventually surpassed sales in the UK. On the strength of their universally popular debut, Coldplay returned to the studio in fall 2001 to work on a second album. They emerged with the darker and more aggressive A Rush of Blood to the Head, and released the album worldwide in August 2002 and embarked on a global concert tour thereafter. The piano ballad The Scientist enjoyed regular radio rotation, while Clocks and In My Place won Grammy Awards. Riding on the success of Rush of Blood, Coldplay pushed those ideas further and began recording material for a third album in early 2004. Material that was previously recorded with longtime producer Ken Nelson was scrapped early on, while Danton Supple joined Coldplay to finish recording what will be their third album, X and Y. Speed of Sound marked the band's first single from the album in spring 2005. The album followed in June and topped charts worldwide and sold over 8 million copies during its first year, and they embarked on another global tour, scoring additional hits with a Kraftwerk-inspired and multi-platinum talk titled Fix You.
Fix You.
Such success put Coldplay on the same commercial level as U2. But with increasing popularity and exposure came negative criticism of the earnestness and sound of their formula. Long story short, they reunited. The quartet retreated to the studio in late 2006 to work with acclaimed producer Brian Eno. The recording session with Eno was completed within a year and was followed by several months of mixing and growing anticipation from the band's audience. Then Viva La Vida, also known by its full name, Viva La Vida or Death, and All His Friends finally arrived in June 2008. With a fresh sound and expanded sound palette, this album became an instant hit mainly due to the chart-topping power of Viva La Vida. Worldwide sales were close to 6 million copies in November, when Coldplay released several new records, including a collaboration with rapper Jay-Z as part of the March IPI entitled Prospect. The massive global tour was then commemorated by the limited edition live compilation Left Right Life, which the band gave away for free during the last stop of their Viva La Vida journey. Continuing their experimentation with non-rock genres, the group incorporated electronic beats and hip-hop synth forwards for their 5th studio set. a 2011 concept album titled Milo Xyloto produced by Marcus Draves, Daniel Green, and Rick Simpson. Topping the charts worldwide, Milo Xyloto has also produced several hit singles including Princess of China. Like previous eras, Milo was immortalized with 2012's Live, which followed a hugely successful world tour which included a special performance at the closing ceremonies of the London Paralympics. Work on their sixth album began in late 2012 at their Bakery and Beehive studio in North London, where longtime producers Paul Epworth, Daniel Green, and Rick Simpson joined them for sessions. Seeking to mitigate Viva and Milo's sensory explosions, the band explored electronic textures and indie pop synths. Then while working on the album, Martin and his wife, Gwyneth Paltrow, announced their separation, turning the album into an introspective and cathartic farewell album. The Grammy-nominated Ghost Stories arrived in May 2014 and topped the charts once again. The platinum single Magic and Avicii-assisted electronic track A Sky Full of Stars became top 10 hits in the UK as they rose to the top 15 on the American charts. Coldplay briefly promoted the effort on a 6-date tour that saw the band play intimate shows in New York, Los Angeles, Paris, Tokyo, Sydney, and London. Footage from that outing landed on Ghost Stories Live 2014 with an audio-video package containing live versions of each track from the album. After completing their promotional stint for Ghost Stories, Coldplay returned to the studio to work on their 7th LP. Recording in Los Angeles and London, the band collaborated with Noel Gallagher, Beyoncé, Tove Lo, and Mary Clayton, as well as producers Rick Simpson and Stargate. The lead single, Adventure of a Lifetime, arrived in November 2015, just weeks before the full-length title A Head Full of Dreams was released. Long story short, the band embarked on a 144-day A Head Full of Dreams tour to support the album and sold out stadiums around the world. Meanwhile, Coldplay released something just like this, which is a collaboration with pop EDM group called The Chainsmokers, which appeared on the Chainsmokers album Memories Do Not Open as well as on Coldplay's IPI Kaleidoscope. On November 15, 2017 in Buenos Aires, the band played the final show of their trip, which became the third highest grossing concert tour of all time to date. Then a year later they closed the era of Head Full of Dreams with the release of CD and DVD sets Live in Buenos Aires or Live in Sao Paulo, as well as the career-long documentary A Head Full of Dreams directed by Matt Whitecross. Coldplay kicked off a new era of albums in late 2019, and announced upcoming releases with purposeful antiquated methods such as postcards for fans, subway posters, and even newspaper ads. Published in November, Everyday Life's 16 tracks split into two sides, namely Sunrise and Sunset, and found the band returning to the international sound heard in Global Citizen Episode 1. The band launched their 9th album cycle in May 2021 with the release of the Grammy-nominated single Higher Power, which was produced by pop mogul Max Martin. A few months later, a second single titled My Universe, a collaboration with K-pop group BTS, topped the Billboard Hot 100, marking Coldplay's second #1 hit on America's Music of the Spheres, arriving that October. Produced entirely by Max Martin, this Skyfae concept album also features guest star Selena Gomez as well as sister duo Jacob Collier and R&B We Are King.